Morning folks, Manatee Outdoors here today. This is my first go-to video of how to spool up a reel or use a baitcaster or anything like that. I'm doing this for a buddy of mine who just got a Royale Legend 2 like myself, like the one I have. He just got it a couple days ago, and he got a Shimano Soujurn rod, same as I do with the Royale Legend 2 on. And being new to baitcasting, he wanted to know how to spool correctly onto this specific kind of reel from Kastking. And this isn't just going to be a how-to video on this kind of reel. This is going to be a how-to on any kind of baitcasting reel with the side plates that detach. Because there's a few amount of reels that have that method and feature on it. And a lot of people don't realize actually there's a hack behind that where you can actually line your reel up easier without having to take a long time struggling to get the line through the spool or anything, or around the spool. So I'm going to do this how-to video and take you step by step with what to do. So first thing first, this is the line that we're going to be spooling it with. I ran out of Kastking line, so all I had left was 14-pound Berkeley Trilene fluorocarbon. So I'm going to put that on the reel for my buddy Dalton at his request. Shout out to my buddy Dalton for deciding on this beautiful set of reel. And he's also got a spinning reel coming in from Kastking itself. The Royale is probably the greatest reel that I have in my arsenal, along with the Speed Demon. So first things first, I'm going to show off the Royale here. And it's super smooth. It's actually got a double pinion bearing inside of the spool shaft here and tension knob. So there's a bearing here, there's a bearing on the spool shaft, and then there's the third bearing on the brake flap. And then he's got it on a Shimano Soujurn medium rod, 6'6" medium. I have a 6'6" medium heavy of the Soujurn. Slightly, actually, it says for both models, like for the 6-foot models, that the handles are around, well, the handles are around 9 inches on both models. I actually think on the 6'6" medium, it actually is slightly longer. But it's a medium action rod, throws from 1/4 ounce to 3/4 ounce lures. So typically probably like a good semi-light topwater lure, semi-light soft plastic lure, or probably any kind of crankbait lure or jerkbait lure. It's got a nice tip action to it. Taper action is, if I'm correct, I think the taper action is fast on here. But nevertheless, we're going to get right into it first. I'm going to show you what to do, step by step. So here we go. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure that our tension knob is really loose, because this specific kind of reel actually has a feature that when I first got it I was super confused with. I'm going to show off here how smooth that sounds. So here on the side, you see right there where it says open close, so you want to put that little switch on open. And on the side plate here, just want to click it, slowly twist down, pop right out. And here's your spool right here. So if you see here, there's the bearing right there, and then the other bearing is inside the chassis on the tension knob. And this is your brake setting. I'm going to show this off to you, so my buddy Dalton knows what I was talking about with the magnet brakes. So if you see here, watch that little dial as I turn it down to 0 brakes. See, it got lower, and then you turn it up, and bam. So that's pretty much how the centrifugal braking system works. I'm going to set it to off for now until I get the reel spooled up with line here. You're going to take your rod here. This is the tricky step that comes into play. So you take your rod here, take your line, and you want to feed that line. I typically want to feed it through the rod guides itself, so that way it's a lot easier to play through. And I prefer fluorocarbon for a lot of reasons sometimes too, for certain setups, because one, fluorocarbon actually is not visible to the fish. unlike monofilament, where monofilament can be visible. Certain brands specify that they are visible, however, or invisible. However, that's not the case. Monofilament floats, so the fish is going to be able to see that no matter what lure you're throwing. So you want to feed right through that line guide here. Feed your line through. Then you want to take your spool here, set it through like so. Well, I typically do to tie the knot down, I typically just do like a regular knot, just keep tying a knot over and over on it. That's what a lot of people do. There is a specific knot to tie onto the spool. What I do is I just tie a knot, make sure that knot is tight, and make sure you have that line in the middle. Don't have it on the left side, the right side. Keep that line right in the middle. So you want to tighten that up. Tie another knot here. Tighten it up again. I typically do 3 or 4 times on this. Make sure that line is staying in place. Yep, there we go. And you want to just cut that access line right off. A pair of pliers or scissors if you have any. And then you just take that spool and line up so you see where those teeth are inside of the chassis, where that little piece is. You want to line up those 2 little pegs here with that. Because if it's off kilter, it'll start grinding and making a lot of noise and ruin that spool shaft, the spool, and the bearings. So you want to match up those teeth with those little notches. Pop it right into play. And as I said before, so this is the trick with taking the spool out and the side plate. So you want the tension knot to be off, because like most, and there's certain bait casters that have a side plate that will detach or swing down. Well, on a lot of them, you have to have the tension knob loose so you can pop that back on. So what you do is take it here, fit it into place, slide it back on like so, and if I could get my fingernail underneath, click that switch to close, tighten your tension knob back down, and you're ready to go. Alrighty, so here's the finished project, all lined up with some fluorocarbon. Now what I always like to do after I line a reel is make sure the settings are in the right place. Specifically, since this rod is also a medium action, so for the right settings, I'm going to put on the kind of correct size lure to practice cast around to see how it goes. So here I have it's a Zara spook without the hooks. Found this a few years back, actually, this lure specifically. That was snagged up, somebody lost it. I'm just going to tie it on here, and then we're going to go to the side of the house here and do a little practice test to show you guys also how to adjust the settings on this reel and the tension knob and everything as well. So let me get this all tied up. Alrighty. Make sure our knot is all good. And cut right there. There we go. Alrighty, so let's take this guy down the side of the house, get it all set up. Alrighty, so here it is all set up, and here's that little Zara spook on there. So making sure everything is all a-okay on it, tension knob is good. Well, if you see, so I got the the release down, it's not falling. So what you want to do is loosen that tension knob up a bit. You see how it started falling there? So you want to get it to the right setting now. All the brakes are on. I leave all the brakes on my Royale when casting because it works a lot better. So if you see how it's slowing down, I'm going to tighten it back up. So what you want to do is kind of loosen it a little more. Now it fell too fast, and you don't really want that. So it's too tight again. You see how it kind of spit up some line there? Now it's not doing it. If I'm correct, oh yeah, I did leave the brakes off, so let me turn the brakes on. Still a little too slow. Now you're gonna have a little bit of line spit up, but most of the time you're gonna thumb it. I think we got it the right setting, so instead of casting, I'm just gonna pitch it. See that? And give it a good little cast. Thing looks okay. Yep. So that's how you could set the tension knob up on this. Now I'm going to do a quick little thing here, which is pitching and flipping for my buddy Dalton to show him how to do that. So imagine this was like a jig or anything, or any kind of lure you could basically pitch and flip. So you want to take your hand here, hold that lure, have that release down, kind of put a little tension here. So if you see how I'm putting a little tension on the tip, put a little tension. What you want to do is swing your right arm out, propel forward. Now that's not one of my better pitches, but there we go. Over time, when you get that method down, a lot of practice with like plugs will get that method down for you, and then you could start working that bait. Oh, went right over the fence. There we go, it's back. Now with the casting, so what you want to do, release it, hold your thumb down. If you see, I have the settings set to a point where I don't even have to put my thumb on it. So I'm going to show you that here. With no thumb. See that? No birds nesting or anything. So I've got this set up to the point where I can cast this without even thumbing. That's the thing I love with Kastking's reels, is you could cast these things, get the brake setting at the perfect area, and cast it without even birds nesting. Now if you notice too, the line is a little off kilter. That was kind of my fault, but as long as you're not having any backlash or bird's nest like this, you're perfectly fine. So I'm going to show you guys again here. That same method with casting. So thumb on the release, hold the line down, rear back, and bingo. Right there is how you do it. Then for pitching and flipping, let me show you that again. So take your hand, little tension, bada boom. And sometimes if you get like a little bird's nest or have a little slack line popping out a bit, just reel it back up. Alrighty folks, I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope this is an educational thing for any other new person into bait casters or wanting to try out bait cast fishing. This video is also, I'm gonna shout out to Kastking for this video for delivering such great products. Nevertheless, they have not failed me. I've had them for 4 months now, and these things are outstanding. They hold up so well to bass and any kind of fish. They hold up amazingly. Shout out to my buddy Dalton as well for letting me get a chance to spool this up for him, number one, but number two, also do a how-to video of lining it up and taking apart the reel and also casting a reel, being new to bait casting. I hope this video helps you out as well, Dalton, and I hope it helps out any other person that is looking to get into bait casting. All I could say, folks, is tight lines, Good luck.